This is LBC with Rachel Johnson. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
20 minutes past 8, and we're talking, I'm afraid, about Will Smith and his slap. Was it inexcusable what he did, or was it excusable? It's such a tricky one. Of course, you can't ever say or condone public violence or private violence. But I have to say, I understand why he did it, I think. And it's not necessarily for the best of reasons either. Partly, he was defending Jada, his wife, from having her medical condition being poked fun at. But also, let's face it, it was also about respect about him. You know, he said to Chris Rock, get my wife's name out of your effing mouth. And he didn't even use her name himself, as if you insulted Jada, you were, by extension, insulting him, as if Jada was in some way his property, his chattel. I found that a bit questionable. So I'm very much on the fence on this. I can sort of see why he did it, but I don't think he was right to do it. But what about you, Emma in Boston?
Hi, Rachel. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. We're still talking about it. Are you still talking about it in Boston?
Yes, and I'm in the media industry. I'm based in Boston, and I've been super conflicted about it. I've had two friends that were at the Oscars in attendance and saw it, and then my partner and I were lucky enough to have purchased tickets for Chris Rock at the Wilbur Theatre in Boston. So we saw him right after this happened, which was a little crazy. And my thoughts on Will Smith is I've been super conflicted, having been in the industry, having seen it, having heard my colleagues' views on it. But essentially, I don't think it was Will Smith's fight to fight. I think
it was
Jada
Jada's.
Is an adult.
Yeah. Sorry, by the way, I should have said it is Jada, and I will get that right in future.
Yeah. And, you know, she can fight her own battles. And, you know, she's incredibly talented. She's a strong woman. And having spoken to my female colleagues in the industry who are producers, they're in the news, they're kind of on the same fence. They're like, you know, it was Jada's fight to fight, not Will's. But I can also see the rage that Will would probably feel having heard that as well.
Jada was never going to get up and go and deck Chris Rock, was she? But she knows. She probably knows Chris Rock better than Will Smith, though. So you're right in pointing out it was about, you know, she could have taken up cudgels in her own defence quite happily. But in the moment, I don't think she could, because she was sitting there, and I don't think she was up for an award or presenting one. So she was slightly glued to her seat, whereas Will Smith knew he was in the running for Best Actor. So he must have thought, like, this was his night in some way, and he had to sort of prove a point. And also his autobiography, as people have been pointing out, he talks about how he regretted, especially after her death, the fact that he never defended his own mother from his father's violence.
Yeah, and, you know, Will Smith's amazing. I think he's loved in the industry, and I think that's why so many people are conflicted over it. You know, he's not a bad guy. He's an amazing actor. And the fact that he's a black man and he's the only fifth, I think, black man to win an Oscar is, you know, amazing. So you don't want to take away from that. But at the same time, you can't condone violence. And I was at the Chris Rock show, and we were all waiting to hear what Chris would say when he walked on stage. And he just said, I hope your weekend was better than mine. And he got a 2 to 3 minute standing ovation before the show even started, which was really interesting.
Another hot take, Emma, I want to spin past you is, what about the people who say or think that what Will Smith did, you know, nominee for Best Actor, worth untold millions, celebrated in music, in TV and in film, what he did was the expression of privilege, not of violence. He thought that because he was Will Smith, he could get away with it, and he would get away with it, and his behaviour afterwards proved that.
Yeah, because he was partying. And, you know, there must have been a thought in his head that, I mean, I had two friends who were in the audience, they're in art production, and they said to me, they're like, well, we thought it was set up at first. because Will Smith is that kind of guy that, likes to have fun. But then when it got awkward, they realized, oh, actually, he means it, and then he started shouting. And I think he thought he probably could get away with it because of who he is.
Which was privilege and arrogance and entitlement.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So maybe what we should be talking about is that he should be, sanctioned for that as much as for the action, the violent action, which Chris Rock, he hasn't been harmed by it. I mean, it was obviously a shock to him and to the world that happened. Emma, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for bringing us news from the USA and how Chris Rock reacted when he did his first show after that weekend.